Good evening. The word of the day is book. My pastor was talking to one of my cousins the other day, and they were talking about word of the day. And one of the things that he told my cousin was, he said, one of you ought to write a book about all these stories. He said, y'all have got all kinds of stories to tell. And that made me think of another story that I could share. Several years ago, couple of my cousins and 4 of my uncles and a few other folks from time to time would all take a trip to go fishing. We'd have to drive about 3 hours to the lake that we'd go fishing in. Then we would fish all night long, and the next morning, just as it got light enough, we'd take the boats out of the water, get back in the trucks, and down the road we'd come. After being up all night or most of the night fishing, usually part of us would lay down in the back of the truck and go to sleep. I remember one time one of my uncles was laying on the back of the truck asleep, and I had to stop really quick because somebody kind of pulled out in front of me. He looked at me when we got to the next place where we stopped and could talk. He said, "I didn't think you was ever going to get your big foot off that brake pedal." He said, "You pushed my head slam down into my chest." Well, on that same trip, we were coming home, and we got about halfway home, and something happened to my truck. I had a fairly new truck compared to some of them at that time, so they selected me to drive and pull one of the boats. And we got about halfway home, and the clutch went out in my truck. You could push the pedal and nothing happened. There was a hydraulic oil line that connected to it that had blown out. Well, we did get stopped on the side of the road, and we were trying to figure out what we're going to do. And this particular uncle that I'm talking about was still on the back of the truck, sound asleep. One of my cousins says, "Well, you don't have to have a clutch to drive that truck home." He said, "You can just speed shift it." And I said, "Well, cousin, I hadn't done much speed shifting. I don't know whether I want to do that or not." He said, "I'll drive it." He said, "You drive my truck." Well, the story got a little more interesting. We got switching around on driving trucks, and somehow or another we left one truck and one driver on the side of the road with no keys. So when we got on the road, we done one of them Dukes of Hazzard passes. We rolled the windows down and pulled up close enough. We handed the keys from one truck to the other, doing 60 miles an hour on the highway. That truck went back and got the other one. We all got caught up together, and we pulled in at a rest area about an hour down the road to take a restroom break. Well, my uncle that had been sleeping on the back of my truck, when he got off the truck, he looked around and he looked at me. He said, "Why are you not driving your truck?" I said, "There's something wrong with the clutch, and we speed shifting at home." And I said, "My cousin Paul there said he could speed shift, and I ain't never done that." He said, "Oh, no." He said, "I'm not going to ride on that truck no more." He had done rode an hour on it sound asleep, and it hadn't caused no problems. But when he was informed of the problem, he got off that truck and got on another one. He wouldn't ride no more. I don't know if that story will make the book or not, but it sure is a good memory, and every time I think back about it, I feel glad about having been there and having that memory to look back on. I hope you have some good memories to look back on too, and I hope you have a great day.